From the studios of WMUL at Marshall University, in collaboration with the Dead Podcaster Society, this is Why Radio, a show where I, DJ Drivin Duncan, take you for a ride down information lane and teach you about the world of radio and audio production in the name of answering the question of why radio and learning more about the individuals that are helping to grow and evolve this industry. For this episode, I wanted to understand why college students wanted to study radio. Thus, I turned to my friends and classmates to learn the reason. In this episode, you'll hear from 4 members of WMUL's summer staff: News Director and Broadcast Journalism Major Emma Johnson, Sports Director and Sports Journalism Major Ben Anderson, Production Director and Multimedia Journalism Major Nate Hara, and Music Director and 2024 Marshall graduate John Bogus, who majored in Sports Journalism. While it's a generic spot to start, I decided to kick off this interview at quite literally the beginning, how everyone got involved with WMUL. From joining because of a class to meeting former staff members at tabling events, everyone's stories all shared the same ending: how they all fell in love with the station.
I first got involved with the station whenever I had to take the basic broadcast news class with Swindell. And, in that class you have to make weekly audio packages for the radio station. And from there I just kind of fell in love with the rush of all of it. So here I am.
Before I got to Marshall University, I had a alumnus of the sports staff tell me to join WMUL once I got to Marshall University to pursue the dream being a play-by-play announcer.
I started working here at WMUL about the second half of my sophomore year. I took a class that required me to do things here, intro to audio production. And while I wasn't the biggest fan in the beginning, over time I eventually kind of found my groove.
I also started at the station with intro to audio production the spring semester of my freshman year. But once we started with the promo and PSA assignments, that's when I really found my passion, so to speak, for radio and audio production in general.
Saying one loves radio is a strong statement, especially in a world where streaming services can give someone content on demand. How is their passion for radio genuine and not just a kitty crush over something new and shiny they had never done before? And so our discussion quickly went into why they stayed and studied radio.
For me, it's just the importance of broadcast and the fact that we can get so wrapped up in posting on social media, or if you are an artist, just streaming your music. And it's like, in some weird way, I feel like that has almost disconnected all of us. For me, it's just the importance of having a public broadcasting place where the public can tune in and they can listen to what we have to say.
I think the beautiful thing about radio is just the connection that an audience could have with who's ever behind the mic. Because you look at local DJs and talk show people here in the area, of Ernie G. Anderson, everybody knows who he is because everyone knows him as a DJ. And relationships he built through that. And then on the sports side, you have like someone like Paul Swan, who's always connects with his audience.
I mean, when you're in your vehicle, you can't just watch television while you're driving. Radio is kind of there as something to occupy your time, but it's not taking your attention away from the road.
For me, it's the idea of escaping your bubble, because with Spotify and stuff, it is your music and you like your music. At least with me, I don't like the feeling of being trapped, and sometimes I do get in the idea of being trapped in my own bubble, listening to my own things and stuff that I pick out. And I think a beautiful thing with radio is listening to something that isn't your bubble, expanding what you listen to.
Even to add on to that, but like expanding your connections on a day-to-day basis. Like, I've met some great friends here that I don't think I ever would have met if we didn't come through the radio station at the same time.
Exactly. It's like some of the best friends I'll have for life have been through this radio station, and I wouldn't have met any of you guys if it wasn't for this place, that's for sure. But like I said, I've built great connections that will impact me for the rest of my life.
Another thing I like about it is the sense of independence. Even though we're not technically an independent station, we are connected with Marshall. Having the freedom of our own DJ shifts and programs and stuff like that, that is something that I'm always going to gravitate towards more than some like generic put together playlist or show or anything like that.
In the world of radio, work is non-stop when you're on the clock. Everything has to be balanced at a station like WMUL, from news programming to music. During this interview, Emma Johnson had to step out to meet with someone for a project the station is working on. Me and the others immediately began talking about the work they've done and how it will impact the work they do in the future.
I'm kind of been doing a lot of different things, of course, with having my own DJ show, kind of showing how to be creative, kind of how to be myself. Because when I first got here, if I would have 3 years ago told myself that I'll be sitting there at 7 times singing my own intro to a DJ show, I would have told you that you are out of your mind, and there is no way in the world I would have done that. 3 years later, guess what? I do it every week, and I have a blast doing it. And then, as well as just showing that I can be creative and can do different things just outside of being a play-by-play announcer, just being a sports reporter. Making promos, I can show, hey, I can be creative, I can make different promos, and here's how I can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and I agree with what Anderson's saying a lot, because I feel the same way. When I first started here, I was sports and nothing but sports, because that was my major, sports journalism. And I felt like that was the only thing that was valuable to me. But then I hit about my senior year, as Dr. Bailey would like to say, you don't realize how much you've missed out on until you're getting ready to walk across that stage. And he was right, because I was scrambling in my last 2 semesters to become more diverse and have more things on my plate. I started anchoring news rather than just doing the sports reports on the news. I started making general news packages instead of just sports packages. I was doing whatever I could to diversify my resume. Even outside of what I do at the radio station, I started studying marketing a little bit, because I don't think it's ever a bad idea to know how to market yourself. And I think that's what's important with journalism, is that it's just such a career of you don't know what's going to be available when, that just because you're a sports guy, you might have to take that news position before you can be the sports guy.
Similarly, I came to Marshall. I knew I wanted to work in media in some aspect, but didn't really know which field. I kind of had the idea of working as an audio engineer for like recording stuff for like video games and animation and movies and other stuff like that. But even though I have only served as production director at the station, I have done things like news, and I want to start doing more with sports, and I want to start a DJ shift soon. The station itself has really motivated me to become as media diverse as possible, so to speak.
Every relationship has its rough patches, specifically early on. While it's easy to say they couldn't see themselves doing anything else with their lives, it couldn't be said as easily early on in their education.
I can't deny the biggest struggle of them all was myself, and feeding into those stereotypes that radio is dying. And as I mentioned earlier, like I said, I did not really like the radio station when I first got here. And just to expand on that, I didn't like that, I guess, a class was kind of pushing me here when I didn't have much interest in it. But I later realized that that class was pushing me to the greatest resource that I was going to find at Marshall University. So it took me a little bit of time, but I finally realized that it's not about radio and it being my future career. It's about the skills that you can obtain from radio. I feel like I have a much better voice now. I'm more confident when I speak.
Kind of adding on top of that, a couple of my jobs that I have gotten, either from Marshall or just in the area, was from the radio station. Like, I help out with the podcasts and the media with HerdCon that the library on campus helps put on each year. And I got involved with that because my sister met up with a librarian at Day at the Capitol, or whatever that event is called. And she was like, oh, my brother works at the radio station. And they're like, oh, we need someone that knows audio and knows stuff like that. So I ended up getting that job. And this summer I started working with the Colcats as their sound operator because they knew I worked in radio, and I knew how to edit audio and music and stuff like that.
Kind of the same thing for Nate, is like opportunities I have been able to pursue since coming to Marshall University has come through this radio station. I just happened to be walking into an office one day and somebody was saying, hey, we know this company, they need an announcer for a high school game. And also like my internship as well. The reason why I was hired at Kindred for my internship was because they knew I worked here and they knew I was familiar with radio. And so I was able to kind of work my way through there. And I've been able to build a lot of connections as well by working in radio as well.
I just think that was the biggest thing, was that I wasn't putting a lot of confidence in myself, and I wasn't putting a lot of faith in radio. And that, at the end of the day, was my biggest issue when it came to getting involved. I do acknowledge that getting into audio and learning how to edit it and stuff like that, it can be tough. It can take a while to learn how to master it. But at the end of the day, you have to set yourself to want to learn it, and you have to keep practicing.
John was right. Setting yourself up to learn is the hardest part of this industry. However, as Nate pointed out earlier, it all comes down to pushing your boundaries. Radio can easily be seen as a static industry from an outsider perspective. They don't see the interconnectivity of everything, including the way young people push the boundaries to create what they are passionate about.
I'm making content for just a listener overall. Because what I've learned on time, in terms of you listener, you kind of think of you listener as like one-on-one. As like instead of a group of people, you're talking to that listener and that listener alone.
I had to think about it for a second, but I definitely think there are aspects of some of the content I do here that would fit our age group better than older generations. For example, when it comes to news, I would do packages that interested me, therefore I feel like they would interest our age group. One that comes to mind is I did a package on a solidarity rally that took place on campus. WVU was going through some budget cuts. We're cutting some majors, and a couple people from WVU came to Marshall's campus, and some organization on Marshall's campus stood in solidarity with them as they were basically saying, hey, we acknowledge that your programs are getting cut at WVU. We don't want that to happen here at Marshall. And then in the programs that I'm doing now, I'm doing a podcast for wrestling, mainly talking a lot of things WWE. While maybe the topic itself isn't always the people in my age group, I feel like, that kind of is an expanded age range. A lot of older people like it, a lot of younger people like it, but podcasting itself is just something that is very popular in our age group as well. People might hear the word podcast and a topic they're interested next to it, and they're like, oh, I got to listen to that. I know all kinds of people that will listen to podcasts when they're at the gym, when they're driving. I mean, it's just kind of become a comfort thing for people of our age group.
There's a very big difference between the stuff I was not forced to make, but stuff I wasn't really into making. I just did it because it was a thing to make, versus the stuff I'm actually enjoyed putting together. Right now I'm working on a promo that involves pigs flying, and that was really fun to record for me, and it was fun to direct and edit it and produce it, and it's still being worked on, but I really like that. And I'm working on a DJ shift right now about music and movies, which I've recently gotten very into movies. And I want to not only talk about the classic music and movies, but also some of the more modern ones. One of the ones I want to add is Accidentally in Love from Shrek 2. And even though that movie came out when I was a little younger, I think I was 3, but it's still something that people my age and even a little bit older will still enjoy. And that really is the key, is making stuff that you enjoy. And if you enjoy it, then your passion comes across so that other people can enjoy it as well.
Radio may seem as simple as press and play music, But there's a lot of work just from what has been discussed so far. It's a world that is culminated by unique experiences, such as the connection between the speaker and the audience through the microphone.
I think just knowing how to use my voice, use it in a live setting, use it in a recorded setting, and to then know how to edit that down and make it sound good is just something that I could not have gotten anywhere else.
I think for me, the idea of getting in front of a microphone and being comfortable recording myself and having that confidence, because at the beginning I was very like, and this is in front of a microphone. But now, just earlier today, I was recording a promo with Ben that involved me kind of yelling as a ring boxing announcer. So even though I'm quiet right now, learning to be comfortable in front of a microphone to do that is something that I feel like I've gained a lot at the station.
The same thing here. It's allowed me to come out of my comfort zone. Ben Cower would say it best. He would say, I sound like I was walking on glass and trying to avoid stepping on glass. Because I would want to say something at the same time, I'd be like, would that be the right thing to say? But then, over time, I've been able to build confidence in myself to be able to talk in front of a mic and also just to have fun with it. Because I always felt like it was always super nerve-wracking. But then after a while, you went, okay, now I figure out what I can and can't say on air. You can have a little bit of fun with it and allow me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and just be able to express myself.
As our conversation rounded out, I had them dig deep in their memories and look back at their favorite moments from their time at WMUL.
I still remember my freshman year is the week of the Marshall Notre Dame game. We're sitting there in sports staff meeting. Our sports director, Justin Zimmer, was a diehard Notre Dame fan. I mean, a diehard Notre Dame fan. He was like, there's no way Marshall's going to win that game. We all went, hey, anything's possible, Justin. He went, no. You know what? I guarantee Notre Dame's going to win. And if Marshall wins, y'all get to pie me in the face. How about that? I went, all right, bet. And then sure enough, come Halloween, well, Marshall, we all know how that game, Marshall won, which I was there to witness it. That was phenomenal. But then, of course, Halloween, Victoria nearly knocking out Justin, pieing him in the face. I mean, that was beautiful. And I still have the video to this day somewhere.
My favorite moment at this station is from when I called a game, and that's when I got to call Marshall men's soccer defeating WVU to win its first Sun Belt championship in any sport. That was the first time Marshall had gotten one since the change to the Sun Belt Conference. And it was just that feeling of I was never really the most confident in my play-by-play work. And I thought there was other guys on the staff that were miles ahead of me. But to get that call from the sports director to be like, hey, you're our guy, do you want to be play-by-play for the Sun Belt Championship game? You can't turn that down. And I'm so glad I did it. I think I did a good job. I used some of the highlights from that game in my submission for Best Radio Sports Anchor in the AP Awards that I got first place for in 2023. So it was just a very valuable experience overall, and just a very special moment for not only Marshall, but for myself. And I think about that day a lot.
I think for me, one actual radio achievement that pops in my brain is a bit selfishly, the first time I got an award. It was for a radio package I did about the fountain ceremony in 2023, and it was about this family from Illinois that always comes down, and they had no connection to the crash. They didn't even really knew it happened until We Are Marshall came out. And I believe they said the first time they started coming down was 2020 or 2021. But because of that, they eventually gained connections here. And that year, 2023, they actually laid a rose for a family, which that's an honor to have. And getting an award for that is like validation, so to speak, that I can actually do this and gain the knowledge to do it.
The conversation about favorite memories quickly turned into a discussion about awards. Even though they were only college students or college graduates in John's case, each has earned an award for their work. While we all love the lesson in the movie Cars about trophies being no big deal and character being the real prize, for these college students, awards are a way to legitimize their work. When WMUL submits for competitions, they aren't just competing against other colleges. They're competing against professionals in the industry.
I can relate to your award thing. I just want to say, Nate, because I remember knowing that this was an award-winning radio station, and I was like, oh, well, I got to get an award eventually. I mean, it's just what we do here. And I got my first award, too, and I thought I was just going to be like, I'll get one and I'll be satisfied. And I got my first award, and it was a gold award, which essentially means, like, second place for what the contest was. And I was like, well, darn it. Now I got to go and make another package until I get a platinum one. So I get that feeling of chasing them. It's a part of this radio station, and it feels good to have that on your resume.
The one that I'm still the proudest of, because I always saw all the old guys always winning stuff at the AP awards. I was like, I'm going to win an AP award before I graduate. Of course, and then this past spring, of course, I found out that I was a finalist for best radio play-by-play, and then of course when I was runner-up, I was disappointed at the beginning, but then I realized, Ben, you're near the top. I was like, you just named the second best radio play-by-play in the Virginias. That's pretty impressive. So then I could finally say that I won at the AP against the best there is in the states, and I can use that on my demo reel, and that just helped boost my confidence into saying, hey, I don't suck at this. I can actually do this, and try to build up confidence to hopefully get a job one of these days.
Yeah, and you still got one more year to make it first.
Exactly.
At this point, Emma Johnson rejoined the interview and was able to join in on the current conversation.
One of my absolute favorite memories that is just station related, like there is no award, no importance attached to it, but it is when me and Nate Hara listened to Anderson stuttering on Herd Roundup or something. I don't know. I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, Anderson, because that one was golden. Nate and I were on the floor rolling over this clip of him stuttering, and it's literally just like 7 seconds. But
that was not my biggest moment in life.
That was so funny, though. That is hands down one of my favorite memories that I have ever been a part of at the station. But in terms of like accomplishments, I just want to play off of what John and Anderson and really all of you guys have said, but is the awards aspect to this, like the competition aspect. We essentially work for the public. We go cover stories, we give the public what they want, and so it's almost like these award competitions are a little something for us because we don't get a whole lot of praise like other people in other professions do. And so it is nice to be honored for our work in some capacity, whether it's first place, second place, third place, or even an honorable mention. I'm going to be real honest. I didn't really care about the awards. I had won a few in high school, and I was like, oh, that is so cool. And it didn't really hit me the importance of those and how those can help you until like last year. And so, last year we got runner-up for Best News Operation of the Virginias in the Metro category. And then I made a joke to Dr. Bailey that, I was going to win it this year. And, never gave it too much thought until the competition rolled around again. And then I was like, I don't entirely know if I can actually pull this off because it is some tough competition. And then we get to the banquet, and they start out with W, and I was like, oh gosh, we got runner-up again. And then it was another letter, but it was an M, and I was like, oh my gosh, we just won this thing. We just won Best News Operation in the Virginias.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Y Radio episode without our guests giving advice for those who may be cautious about dipping their toes into the world of radio. Even though they're only students, They already understand the importance of leaving a place with no regrets.
I would say just step outside your comfort zone. It's like try new things. Like find an organization to join. It's like such as like WMUL, because you never know where that's going to lead you to. Because who knows, it might give you some of your best friends you'll ever meet in your life. You never know.
To add on top of that, like, it's kind of a generic thing to say, but just like try everything. Try as much as possible. If you don't like it, don't do it. But you never know if you don't try. My freshman year at Marshall, I did try a bunch of different things. Like, I joined a biology club. I joined a astronomy club just to try it out. And even though I didn't really enjoy it, I at least, like, I met a few people there. And I still, like, occasionally talk to them. But even the idea of, hey, I tried it and I know I don't like it is a better feeling than, oh, well, I still don't know if I would like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to what both of you guys have said, one of my favorite sayings is, what's the worst thing that could happen? They tell you no, because, I don't know, like you both have said, just get out there and try things and try different things. And, you know, I think it goes to show that even though we all have our own duties, you know, mine is news, Ben's is sports, Hera's is production, we all still have a music-related something going on, a music-related DJ shift, a show, whatever it may be. And then John and I, you're the music director, and we have a wrestling podcast. And so it really is a full circle moment when you can try all of these things and realize that you like more than one thing. And that's why I always say, just go for it. But that's why I always say, just try it, because what's the worst thing that happens? Someone tells you no, you fail at it. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think that is the worst thing that could ever happen in life.
Yeah, regret is, in my opinion, regret is a stronger feeling than failure.
Yeah, and I can really relate to that. Regret is bigger than failure, because there was a lot of things that I didn't get involved with in my undergraduate studies that I regretted not getting involved with, and it's why when I really felt like I had the time to come back to WMUL and be a volunteer for just a little bit longer, I took it, and now I'm doing the things I wish I would have. Like, I always wanted to have my own show and never took the time to map one out, pitch it, and get it all set up. And now I'm kind of running two shows. One of them's just a DJ shift, but I mean, still, at the end of the day, I have two programs that go on air every week now. And so I would just say, do everything that you can, try new things, as everyone else has pretty much said in this, but just be different, be diverse, have multiple skills, and start building that resume as soon as you can.
Just like in every part of radio, things happen every second. Something goes wrong, an event is canceled, an interview subject says something that encourages you to change the focus of your entire news package. Radio is a world that keeps you on your feet. And so I ended it in the most hectic way possible, with banana bread. A friend of mine from outside of the radio station brought me a nice pan of banana bread, and me and the others decided to give listeners a nice food review. I have no idea how I'm going to script this episode. This is going to be the most chaotic episode yet. So we're ending this the right way, just like how chaotic our friendship is. We're going to end it with a review of a buddy of mine's banana bread.
Nolan, we've had 2 episodes. How is this? Are you sure?
I established a format in episode 1 that I'm going to have to break because
Give us a food review.
That's pretty good.
I hope you enjoyed the wonderful audio of banana bread consumption. For me, moments like this embody the spirit of college radio. That's our Why Radio moment for today. Radio is a way to live life to the fullest and never stop experimenting. I would like to thank Ben, Emma, John, and Nate for taking time to sit in on this interview. This is my stop, but don't worry. Why Radio will be back for another ride, and if you do miss a cruise, then you can find episodes on Marshall University's Dead Podcaster Society's social media, Dead Podcaster Society MU on Instagram and YouTube. I'm DJ Drivin Duncan, and you're listening to Why Radio on WMUL FM 88.1 The Cutting Edge.